I always circle back to it, and it's in the book sort of throughout.
Someone else had a question behind you? Okay, go ahead.
First off, Anna Maria Tremonti, wonderful career. Thank you for moderating this. Kim, fabulous book, incredible contribution. And what I'm hearing tonight, maybe I can offer a different perspective from the Silicon Valley point of view. I actually am really optimistic about journalism. And the reason I say that is, let's go back to U of T in the 60s, and let's remember Marshall McLuhan when everybody was freaking out the last time journalism changed. And it survived. And the reason it survived is quite simple. You said it, truth to power. It's not the masses that can speak truth to power. Now, something's changed though, and it's the medium. The medium. And when the medium changes, all of the existing authority poles collapse. And you get a concentration that happens. So you got the National Post, Toronto Star, the Globe and Mail. They buy up everybody. This has been happening since Conrad Black started to buy up in the late 90s, remember. So that's pillar one. That old business from the standpoint of structure needs to change. It's got to go away, and that construction that's happening is good. The second major change that's happening is the innovation. The narwhal is the classic example. It's not just the narwhal, the line, the Substack independent journalists. I mean, there are actually more journalists making money nowadays independently without the majors, but it's still insufficient to keep what I'd call the cohort that existed before employed. So we need a third pillar. And the third pillar, I'm happy to tell you, is the new medium, which is you're going to eventually be asked, I believe, and I'm not speaking just because I have an opinion, I actually built this and it's here. You're going to be asked as journalists to use your expertise in a completely different way. Instead of you choosing and curating the content, you'll be asked to use your expertise in real time to answer the needs of people, individuals, corporations, governments, etc. And your app on your phone as a journalist will allow you to do that. And those formats will be paid. And the amount of money that it's going to create will make the money journalists made before look like a very small amount. So all I wanted to say to everybody in this room is optimistic on journalism, and I'm bullish on everybody in this room.
I want you to explain that last part again.
Yeah.
You're going to have an app that is asking you to explain who's asking you.
Yeah, so
Just-
it's not me having an app. I have one of them, but
I get that,
just an
but,
example. The structure of it is real-time requirement for expertise. So imagine I own a structure like a paper, okay? And there's a real-time, so in the case of my company, Citizen, we're creating the largest democracy data set there is, period. It's going to be 3-4 orders of magnitude more predictive than Ipsos, Nanos, Transmuse, and the rest. But for me to be able to do that, I need to create people into nodes in that network, and they need to be able to give informed consent for that data set to be what I just claimed. To do that, I need experts to explain in very short bites what the individual needs to know. So for instance, there's a committee, it's about Bill C-18, we're producing a new bill. I can bring the entire country, the entire electorate live into that commission and get them to understand what's going on, and the journalism class will be paid by my company huge amounts of money, okay? More money than there would ever have been in, say, a 1,000-word essay, to be able to give short bits of information in our format when we need it. And then you have a period to respond, 2 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, depending on the service level that's attached to it. If it's longer form, it's longer time. If it's shorter form, shorter time. And so you take all the journalists and you say, here are the journalists in the country. Anybody can sign up to it. They have expertise. They get ranked. There's better journalists, worse journalists. I mean, you're extraordinary. But not everybody has achieved your level of journalism. So, you know, people will be paid as a function of the market value that they bring. But all I'm saying is there's going to be so much demand for that real-time journalism in different formats, small, tiny formats like 30-second video, 2 sentences statement to comment. This is the future, and it's going to take another decade to implement, but you guys are going to make more money than you ever have.
Okay, so let me just go with this for a minute, because what if I'm Noor and I'm going, yeah, but I don't want to answer that. I would like to go on and keep following, you know, what the hell's going on in the green belt, but that's not the information you need. So where's she going to get sponsorship to do that. Like, you know, like what you're talking about is information that you want. What about so many of the stories that we're talking about that got these awards, we didn't know we wanted them.
Yeah.
We didn't know they existed, right? What individual journalists went off and found them and told your company needs to pay attention to it. So I hear what you're saying, but how do you keep that other part alive? Because that's where we learn and grow and really question ourselves as a society where we're going, right?
Well,
So-
in fact, this is probably the most important point. What I think in our I can only speak to my company specifically, but
No, I'm just kind
the
of picking on you, but
intention
go ahead.
is that the company itself is the exploration vehicle to find those stories. The corporation brings people to, in my corporation, whatever it is, corporation, brings together people so that they are knowledgeable about what is up. And so it's not, before, the journalist's job wasn't just to mediate between government and people, it was to curate the agenda. And so you guys brought the stories to bear. You guys identified the issues. You guys told us what was important to know. In the future, that's going to be part of it, but that's pillar one. But there's going to be a whole other group of people who are journalists that are no longer curating. They're strictly responding to a request, much like, to use a crass example, it's like Uber for journalism. Okay? If I need somebody to speak about a particular economics issue, I know that I have 250 economics journalists out there. I send it out, you guys accept. And whoever gets it first, or whatever the rules are, is the way you get paid. And it becomes a competitive landscape that generates incredible amounts of money. And this just doesn't apply to my company. This, broadly speaking, is the future of journalism in the Valley.
Do you want to comment on that?
I'm gobsmacked.